I started off as a fan of Dragon Ball Z first.
Everyone loves it.
Princess Peach or Toad.
Like, what am I watching, man?
Hey guys, we're here from Tales from the Film Set, and I'm Buddy the Elf. That's Scott Churchson, and we have somebody special today. We have a person that is involved with Land of the Lost. We have Days
of Our Lives.
Yep, Days of Our Lives. And what I really love him from is he's the co-developer of Dragon Tales. And we got the one, the only, Wesley Eure.
Yeah.
How you doing, sir?
Where is he? Where is he? He's not...
He is right there with the Land of the Lost t-shirt on.
Yes.
I got the Sleestaks here.
Yes, Sleestaks.
So you did Land of the Lost, and all you got was that T-shirt.
It's good to see you guys again.
Yes.
We met like it was a year ago, or 2 years ago now almost.
We met, actually, believe it or not, more like 3 years ago, because I met you in pretty sure it was like 2023, and it was at Planet Comic Con. It's the last time I met you.
Yep, and you guys got my raft.
Yes, we took a selfie and you signed my Dragon Tales print, and it was a moment come true because I was like, I get to see Wesley in person.
It is so nice to see you guys again.
Appreciate the time. So yeah, let's talk.
One of the things that people, I don't know if we're talking obviously about doing conventions, about like Comic Cons and stuff. And Kathy, who played my sister on Land of the Lost, Holly, we do a lot of them. And one of the things that, you always hear about the fan side, about you get to meet your heroes. But you know what? We get to sit on, the other side of the table, but we fanboy out because I get to sit next to or have lunch with people that I can't believe I'm sitting next to, whether it be, oh my gosh, whether it be Charo or it's amazing everybody that goes to these things, but it's also not only that, but it's the friendships we make.
Yes.
So we're not just sitting there going, here, signing an autograph or whatever. We get to meet guys like you and become friends with and create relationships, and that is one of the greatest joys about doing these conventions for myself, and I know I speak for Kathy too.
And I'll be seeing you at the end of this year. Because you'll be at Cajun Con.
Yes, we will. I am so excited. Well, I'm from Louisiana.
Oh, that's awesome.
Baton Rouge. And so this is like going home.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy.
So I will be there. I'm one of the official consigners of the event. / I'll be doing press too for Scott. So yeah, you'll be seeing me running around as Buddy. So when I saw you announce, I'm like, I know him.
Scott sure it was his first show last year, I believe.
Yes.
And it was a huge success.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
He had so many celebrities last year. So, Kathy's coming with me. We're so excited to be there. And we'll bring our yellow raft. If you don't understand the raft.
Yeah, okay.
We're out there. So in the opening scene of Land of the Lost, I sing the theme song on the show, which is Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition. Met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft. And plunged them down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost. So we go over a waterfall, 1,000 feet drop in our yellow raft. So Kathy and I bring a yellow raft.
They bring an actual raft.
Life jackets. And everybody gets in our raft and we scream and go over the waterfall. And because of AI now, the technology, you just have to say, put it on a waterfall and it comes out like amazing.
You can make the waterfall out of lava if you want, or something like that too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to carry screens behind us and try to figure out how to make the waterfall look great. And it was tough, but that's what the waterfall's all about.
Nice. So, well, thank you for not bringing the waterfall to Cajun Con and all those places too, because there might be a legal issue on that one too. The fire department's not going to be too happy there, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to the 1970s and early 80s, Sid and Marty Krofft in the 60s, there was such a staple, between them and a lot of the other shows that were out there. It was an underappreciated legacy, I think, at this point. I mean, granted, there was the Will Ferrell movie that came out, 15, 18 years ago, whatever it was, mostly again under the radar a little bit, but the adventure aspect of it every single week, you know, in your case, just right out of the gate. Thank you for that, man. So,
well, you know, I take no credit for it. David Gerald, who, if you're a Star Trek fan, he wrote Trouble with Tribbles.
yes.
David was a
I
writer.
love the Tribbles.
So all the first and second year writers were Star Trek writers.
That's
In
interesting.
fact, Kathy and I are the only outside show that's allowed into the Star Trek conventions because of our connection with Star Trek. But David got all the Star Trek, even Walter Koenig, Chekhov, created Enoch, the talking Sleestak. But DC Fontana, Larry Niven, Spinrad, I mean, all these amazing writers. And David told the writers, he said, look, we're going to write a sci-fi show that airs on Saturday morning, not a Saturday morning sci-fi show. And that's why, even because the budgets were nothing back then for Saturday morning, but the scripts, like Shakespeare said, the story's the thing. And David created this amazing group of men and women that created the legends of Star Trek with the Pakuni and the the Sleestak and Enoch and all those things. I mean, I remember when I read the script that Enoch, which Walter Koenig created, it discovers that these green monsters are not from his past, but are from his future. And if he doesn't go back and warn his people and convince them to stop being so warlike, they will evolve into Sleestak, not evolve from Sleestak. I was like, what? You know, for a Saturday morning show, it's amazing.
Rob?
They don't make cartoons like they used to.
They don't really make cartoons anymore.
No, not really.
That was just
So
whatever
what-
anime is being imported.
So what exactly got you into acting, Wesley? Was this like a dream as a kid? How did you start your career?
Well, I'm a kid I was born in Baton Rouge and raised in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So, I mean, my family were professors and educators. And, you know, at the age of 5, I stood on the coffee table and I said, I'm going to be an actor. And everybody looked at me like I had landed from another planet. And I remember that moment. But, you know, my dad left us when I was 2 and never came back. And he was actually a professor and stuff and just abandoned us. And I think as a kid, I just think I needed attention. I really do. I think I was raised in a household with all women, and I think I was just screaming to be seen. Because I think in any of our professions that any of us choose, there's always something that we're drawn to that fills a part of us that's a little empty. You know, whether it's a doctor, or a writer, electrician. There's something that's motivated us to be attracted towards that career.
Yeah, no. So I guess the good way. So I see where you're from, but where did you get it? Like, how did you start? Did you do plays as a kid? Did you just like leave home when you turned 18 and said, I'm going to go pursue my career?
Well, I did plays when I was in school. And when I was in high school, we'd moved to Illinois. My mom was a professor at Southern Illinois University. And I went to the Northwestern University. It was a summer program for high school students. You had to compete to be there. And I won the top award as Actor of the Year for high school.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, we moved to Las Vegas in my senior year of high school. I was working at the Desert Inn Hotel after school selling artwork, this cheesy artwork. I mean, sometimes I remember Diaz was this Mexican painter that was kind of flowers that were really thick of oil. In fact, they turned out so many of them, it was still wet when we put it in the gallery. But I met Robert Goulet and Carol Lawrence, and they asked me to go on tour with them I was like 18. They said, we want you to drive our mobile home in the summer on the East Coast. We're doing a concert tour, and we want you to come with us. And that got me to New York.
Nice. Wow. Now, in this case, you mentioned initially when you're like, I'm going to be an actor, and your family's looking at you, like, as I believe you said, you know, from another planet. You know, when you had an opportunity like that, and Robert Goulet, who obviously had name recognition, certainly back then, when that opportunity presented itself, Did you get support from the family? Did they think you were crazy? Or you were just like, I'm going to go?
Well, it was, again, a single mom, my mom, who was working. She was head of the drug abuse program for the state of Nevada. She's a psychologist too. And just my sister. And my sister was off, I think, at college. And it's just my mom and I came home and said, hey, Robert Goulet asked me to drive a mobile home for him on the East Coast for his concert tour. And I do. He was doing the play with Carol Lawrence. And she goes, okay.
Wow.
And then when I got to New York, I was with them a whole summer, driving a Dodge Travco motorhome, and on the side of it was painted the Bob Goulet Show. So we were not inconspicuous. And I was in New York we performed in New York, outside of New York, Westbury, Long Island, and the last of the 3 months I was with them, and I went to New York and I called home and said, I'm not coming home. I'm gonna check into the YMCA and I'm gonna be an actor. And she goes, okay.
Wow.
So I did.
Wow.
Was it support or just like fatigue and ambivalence?
No, it was my mother was, very supportive. I think she was probably relieved she didn't have to deal with me, or support me. And off I went, and I was fairly lucky fairly quickly in New York and then in Los Angeles.
That's awesome. And New York is such a beautiful city. I wish I could see what it looked like then compared to what it looks like now.
It's a little different if you go back in that era.
Yeah.
I would recommend an HBO series called The Deuce.
When I was in New York, there were dinosaurs and aliens from other planets.
Whoa!
Well, that was part of the problem too. I mean, the invasions that would happen. Do you know what a dinosaur does to a building? I mean, it really just wrecks the resale value.
What does a dinosaur do to a building?
Well, I mean, obviously when they bump into it, I mean, you've seen Godzilla movies, you see how it happens there.
Exactly.
But
I see what the Avengers do.
Also, I was going to say you have to look at the dinosaurs from the perspective that occasionally they have to go to the bathroom, but there is no bathroom. So 7th Avenue is going to be a little messy on that one too. So,
Dino turds, got it.
This is not the direction I thought this conversation was going to go. Not in the slightest.
Well, somebody used to say, what was it like filming Land of the Lost? I said, oh my God, the dinosaurs were huge. I said, we had to walk them between scenes out in the parking lot of Goldwood Studios. And I said, the problem was cleaning up after them. It was not pleasant.
The two hardest, things to work with in film sets, children and animals. And dinosaurs are definitely part of that second one.
Dinosaur, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you go from dinosaurs to dragons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which leads me to go with how did you get started on the beautiful show Dragon Tales? Because you said you're the co-developer. Can you explain a little bit on that for us 90 kids?
After Land of the Lost, I was on Days of Our Lives, and I was hosted Nickelodeon's game show Finders Keepers, and a bunch of different shows. Chomps with Valerie Bertinelli, the movie, where I'd been a mechanical watchdog for Hanna-Barbera.
Wow!
And I was producing and writing a show, Totally Hidden Video, for Fox. It was a hidden camera show, nasty hidden camera show, and it was the best job I ever had because I got to write the episodes, a lot of the episodes, and I got to cast myself as the waiter or something in the hidden camera bit. So I got 2 paychecks. Yeah, I got more as the actor than I did as the segment producer writer.
Get that health insurance any way you can.
Exactly. And the executive producer was a guy named Jim Cohen, and I left the show after a couple of, I think 2 years or whatever it was, and I left to go do a musical in Canada. And when I got back, the show had closed down, and he'd moved to Sony Pictures. And he called me one day and said, "Hey," he said, "PBS is looking for a new kids show. They're offering $16 million, and the Muppets want it, and Sesame Street wants it. Everybody wants it." And he said, "We found some dragon drawings by a guy named Ron Rudiker at the Sawdust Art Festival in Laguna Beach." And these were, if you could look up Ron, and he's one of the creators of the show, and his cartoons didn't look like the dragons from Dragon Tales. They were very sophisticated, very fun. He said, "Look, we want to do it." And I had written a book called The Red Wings of Christmas. And Disney bought it for an animated feature. And I wrote the screenplay and the songs for Disney. And he said, and it wasn't published yet. It was going to be published. And I'd given Jim a copy, an unpublished copy. And his son, Max, because Max and Emmy, we named him after his son. Max's favorite book, he said, was The Red Wings of Christmas, the one I'd written. He said, listen, can you come in? I've got some dragon drawings. We've got a few ideas of what to do here. Can you help us out? And so I wrote it in 3 days. And I wrote a companion piece for it. PBS was requiring 2 shows for the grant. So I worked on Dragon Tales, and I created a show called Show and Tell Me, which was based on a lecture series I did. And next week, the week after, it sold. And
just like that.
It was pretty amazing. I mean, it was Children's Television Workshop came in and became the producer, Sesame Street people, and that was it.
Wow, nice. And the voice cast that you got out of that was a lot of the well-known and well-respected Canadian voice actors.
Absolutely,
Scott McNeil. Scott McNeil, I've recognized that name from probably like 8 years before that even.
Yeah, they were amazing. I backed off after the show was launched and stuff, and all that was done without me. That was all the casting and things like that. So I got to enjoy it coming on the air and watching it all unfurl. It was great. I was one of the creators, Zach and Wheezy, who initially were going to be called Snarf and Booger, and PBS goes, no, not Snarf and Booger. And so we had Max. We had Max and Emmy, the 2 human characters.
Yeah.
And J-Lo named her 2 kids after Max and Emmy from Dragon Tales. Isn't that nice? They're twins.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool, guys?
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's literally my childhood. That is the one show I would watch all the time because when we had cable, I didn't have much cable growing up, but when we did, I grew up on PBS Kids, and I remember just sitting down and watching Dragon Tales, and just
it's almost time for Dragon Tales. Come along, take my hand, let's all go to Dragon Land. I wish with all my heart to fly with dragons in a land of art. Thank you, buddy.
Nicely done, sirs.
Okay, then we gotta get back to the interview.
Pull that method right there.
Yes. So, how does it feel for speaking of Dragon Tales, to be a show that was made almost, let's say, 20 years ago at least, or about 20 years, right? What year was that?
It came out in 2000 to 2010. Right about 10 years it ran.
2010? Wait, no, there's no way.
Yeah,
2000.
You're old too, Rob.
No, it has to be before 2010 because that would make me 13. Are you sure it wasn't 2005?
It was on. No, it started in 2000.
Oh yeah, 2000. Okay, cool.
Well, I think 1999 was its official start. So basically, 2000.
So yes,
2000.
Okay. So it's 25 years old. So with it being 25 years old, how does it feel that something that you got to be part of is still a well-known thing 25 years later?
It's amazing. It is amazing. I don't take it for granted one iota. I mean, I just feel because you never know when you write something or you help to create something, you never know how long it'll last or even if it'll resonate. Because most shows just disappear. Like Land of the Lost. Land of the Lost is 51 years old. Yeah. And we have a huge fan base, and Netflix is talking about redoing it with, starting from where we left off.
Wow.
It just keeps going. And recently, because of these Comic-Cons, because the kids that watched it now are in their mid-late 20s, early 30s, and suddenly they are coming to the table as much as the Land of the Lost group is coming to the table. So it's amazing. It really is. Wow. And you know what I got to tell you, one of the greatest joys about Dragon Tales is that it resonates a lot with kids with disabilities
Mm-hmm.
on the spectrum, or I'll share a story with you guys. And we're at a show in Utah and sitting there, and this young lady comes. I see her, and she has a handler. She's nonverbal, and I'm looking at her, and I have the dragon dolls here, right? And she sees them, and she comes over, and I said, "You want to sing the theme song?" And so I'm going, "Dragon Tales, Dragon Tales." She starts singing, "Dragon Tales, Dragon Tales," and her handler starts to cry. And we finish. Let's all go to Dragonland, and her handler's stopping, and her handler said, "I've never heard her speak. She's nonverbal." It was the first time her handler had ever heard this young lady speak, and so you never know how something is going to resonate, and just some of these the things that happen at these shows is amazing. Sometimes it's not all just yeah, rah rah rah, get in the raft and all that stuff. There's some amazing moments that happen, shares that happen with us, and people. We have with like Land of the Lost. One guy came up to us, and he was crying. He's in his late 50s. He said, I know, I'm crying. I'm sorry. He said, but between the second and the third season of Land of the Lost, we lost our dad, and our uncle Jack came into the Land of the Lost. He said, I was at home, and my father was leaving us, and I was devastated, and I didn't think our family could survive. And I watched Land of the Lost, and I saw that when your uncle came in and you lost your dad, your family survived. He said, watching Land of the Lost gave me the courage and the knowledge that my family was going to be okay. And oh my God, I mean, so those kind of moments that we get, there's just no words sometimes for it. It is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, I will probably go into more of the nuance and the technical side of this, from how it was shot, 1 camera setup, 2 camera, 3 set, the set design, things of this sort, and also ironically versus Days of Our Lives. Being obviously a very quick set. I'm guessing 1 camera setup, one take, check the gate, turn around kind of a thing.
No, it was more. It was a 3 camera.
Okay, so that was a 3 camera setup.
We filmed it. It was edited right there.
Nice. So you're talking Days of Our Lives. Or you're talking
Days of Our Lives.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just super quick on that in this case. So you had a 3 camera setup because obviously they were so strict on turnaround times because it's literally running 5 days a week here. So was it really like 1 take, check the gate, move on, or was it a couple 3 takes?
Are you talking about Land of the Lost?
No, Days. I was gonna compare the two, but since you said 3 camera setup for Days of Our Lives,
Land of the Lost was 1 camera.
It was a 1 camera setup.
3.
Okay. So all right. So let's, in this case here with Land of the Lost, it was a 1 camera on that. Was it? I was gonna say basically, what was the shoot setup for something like that?
We shot 1 full episode every 2.5 days. We shot 2 complete episodes in 1 week because they didn't have a budget.
Yeah,
I mean the scripts and everything hold up, and the effects are pretty amazing for the time period without CGI, and the budgets were nothing back in those days. It's basically their budget was basically what you pay for catering now on a show.
Wow.
But it was, and it was fast. So we would get to the studio, and the first camera would be set someplace because we had 2 sound stages. One was a jungle with a lagoon and the exterior of our cave, huge, with a huge jungle. And the next one was the interior of our cave where we lived, the interior of the Sleestaks caves, and then chroma key blue, all the floors. It was like our green screen back then. The floors it was blue though, chroma key blue. Sure. The floors, the walls, and that's where they superimposed us with the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. So when we'd go in the morning, we'd look for where the first camera was, if it's in the jungle or wherever they've set it up. And we would go, and you had to do it really quickly and move on.
When did they give you the scripts on that?
I think we got it a week before or something like that.
You did? Okay, so you had time to at least prepare for it a little bit. But
yeah, but I was filming Days of Our Lives at the same time.
Saw that.
So I was in the morning in both NBC shows. Thank goodness, because I wouldn't have been able to do both of them. So NBC allowed me to do both of them. And so on Days of Our Lives for 3 years, I got to do all of my scenes early in the morning. And the cast hated me. They hated me because
Sure.
I would go in, I would do my scenes and leave. And I had to take my car and drive over the hill to Hollywood. I was in Burbank, in NBC Burbank, over to Goldwyn Studios and General Services in 1 year. And so I would head over there. So in the morning, I'm crying that my girlfriend's leaving me and the mafia's after me, and it's wagons fall on my chest and crushed it and stuff. And then in the afternoon, I'm going, run, Holly, run! There's a dinosaur.
And lather, rinse, and repeat. So yeah, okay. So that was 5 days a week for you, more or less. Back then?
Yeah. Soap opera could vary. It could vary from 1 to 5 days, depending on what storyline you had. But technically, because I know you like the technical issues, is on Land of the Lost broke a lot of technical records. And it was the dinosaurs, which were stop frame motion, were on film. We were on videotape. Mm-hmm. So when we got on the chroma key set, they would play the film version of the dinosaurs moving, like this. Ooh. They would, with the videotape, they would shrink us down and put us on the same screen and shrink us to the right proportion and move us how they wanted. Like, look at that light up there. That's Grumpy's head. Run this way. And it didn't work. And they panicked because that was the whole show. It was the chroma key. It was with the dinosaurs. Sure. And so they panicked. So they called in the Disney animators. They called in everybody. And they were able within a week to solve the problem. So it was the first time ever film and videotape live had been able technically to put it together and record it.
Wow. So you can say that show helped further the technology that we have now.
Absolutely. And so many careers started from Land of the Lost with all the dinosaur shows that you see. We have so many people that started their careers watching Land of the Lost, and got interested in archaeology and science and, space, all sorts of careers. A guy came up to us at a show in Los Angeles and he goes, I thought you spoke Farsi. I go, what? Farsi? It was Persia back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I think it's Iran now. And he and his brother had escaped during the war. They used to watch, Land of the Lost, dubbed in Persian and Farsi. And they became two of the heads of Jet Propulsion Lab, JPL, in Pasadena. And he goes, you want a private tour of JPL? To Kathy and I, we go, are you crazy? Yes. So Kathy and I go to JPL in Pasadena, with the rovers. It's the Mars rovers. And we got to go all over the place because each room is compartmentalized. You have to have security to get through each door. And they finally let us into the last door. And we walked into this room, and imagine this huge room with a whole bunch of computer banks all around the room, and one guy in the corner on a computer with a joystick. It was the guy programming the Mars rover the next day.
Wow.
Making all the moves. And he saw us. He was a fan of the show, goes, Land of the Lost. He said, you want to drive the Mars rover?
Ooh.
I go, yeah. So Kathy and I got to go over with this guy who was just fabulous and play with the joystick and watch it on the computer. Now, to be fair, it didn't move the rover on Mars because what they did was they programmed all the moves and put it on the computer and stuff like that. And then when they were satisfied, that's what they wanted. They then sent it to Mars, and I think it took 8 hours for it to reach Mars. But so he erased everything that we did when we left, but we got to play with it. It was amazing. And their career and his career, these two guys, because of Land of the Lost, they had become interested in Jet Propulsion Lab and JPL, and that spurred their lives on.
I know a lot of comic illustrators got their interest from Land of the Lost also.
Oh yeah.
Wizard, Dark Horse, a lot of those people like that too.
Yeah. There's a scene in the last Jurassic Park that everybody swearing is a tribute to Land of the Lost. It's a yellow raft coming down the river with the dinosaur chasing them. And, you know, we have so many people when it first came out, I think about a year and a half ago, whatever it was, they were going, Land of the Lost.
Also, they're at 7 Jurassic Park movies right now.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
you had the first 3, and then you had the other 3, and then you had the one with Scarlett Johansson, and then they're making an 8th one.
Of course, they're
Wow.
If they make money, you know. But I mean, by the 5th movie, they turned into human cloning at one point. It was a storyline, and like dinosaurs as WMDs, it's like, okay, that shark got jumped, but it still makes money. So you know what?
Yep.
Well, Sid Croft and Marty Croft, which were our creators, Puppet Stuff, Lidsville, all the you know, Sigma the Sea Monster, all that. And Sid, of course, just passed away. We just lost Sid.
Yes.
He was 96 years old.
Good run.
And when he was a little kid, the first movie he ever saw when he was a little bitty boy was 10,000 BC with Raquel Welch, with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And it stuck in his mind. And in fact, we went to a show in Rhode Island where Sid used to live, and we were doing a show, and we actually drove in the car with Sid, Kathy, and I, and Kelly, who was this wonderful lady taking care of Sid. We drove to where Sid's house had been in Rhode Island, in that town, Rhode Island, and it had been washed away in a hurricane. And it's now a park, and we saw the foundation of Sid's house. Everybody in the neighborhood died, but Sid, Marty, and his other brother got out with their mom. And then he said, and then we will go into town. I forget which town it was. And he pointed to a theater, I think the Sanger Theater or something downtown. He goes, that's the movie house that I saw 10,000 BC. And that's where Land of the Lost was born when I was a little bitty boy.
Wow.
Speaking of the fortune of Sid passing away, I know I had the honor to meet him when I met you the same year, because Planet had you and Sid at the same convention. Do you have any memories, good memories that you would want to share, like 1 or 2 good memories of working with Sid and Marty?
Sid and Marty, they were amazing. I mean, we were so lucky to be part of their legacy. When I was on Days of Our Lives, a friend of mine named Bruce Ostrander said, hey, I'm going to a pool party with a guy named Sid at his house. You want to go? It was like, oh, okay. I mean, I just got into Hollywood. I was on a soap opera my first year. And we go, and it was Sid Croft's house. I thought it was going to be a big, like, party. And there were, like, maybe 7 of us around Sid's pool. And Sid and I just sat and talked all day. We just laughed and were telling stories. And at the end of the day, Sid writes down a phone number, says, I want you to call this number tomorrow, Monday. It's a casting director. I have a new show. You're perfect for it. And I called that next day, and it was Land of the Lost. And I went in, and they gave it to me.
Nice.
It's crazy, the opportunities.
Because most people, like Kathy, auditioned 7 times against all these other girls. I mean, and Phil had to audition again. Everybody was auditioning, you know, against everybody. And I think that's one of the reasons Sid said this, that the show was so good, the family dynamics, because we all are family. Kathy lives here close by here in Palm Springs. We see each other. She was over today bringing me strawberries. And but they cast around me. That's why Spencer Milligan played my dad, looked so much like me. And then I auditioned Kathy several times, and the different other girls that were auditioning. And I basically picked Kathy. Wow. And because I thought we had great chemistry. And then Phil Paley, who played Chaka, Phil was only 10 years old. He was the youngest black belt in karate. And Phil was on the Tonight Show. So when Phil he won, I think, the Guinness Book World Record for the youngest black belt. His teacher was Chuck Norris. So Phil was on What's My Line, and he was about this tall. I mean, he was a little thing, right? So he's on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in his white geese, his karate outfit, with Chuck Norris, and little Phil and Johnny Carson. Phil takes Johnny Carson down and flips him on the floor. He goes, "Hee-yah!" like this, and Johnny gets up and runs into Ed McMahon's arms and goes, "Help! Protect me!" And the Crofts saw that on the Tonight Show. From what I understand, and they said that could be our monkey because they had planned on using a little person, like they had in a lot of their shows, costume characters and little people, like Billy Barty, who was one of the big stars of their shows. But that's how Phil became part of the Land of the Lost family. Okay. And thank goodness, because it wouldn't have been the same with an adult playing Chaka, because Phil was really a child. And he was amazing. His performances were amazing, I think. I mean, all that language he had to learn, because Pakuni was one of the first real languages, like the Klingon language, the Ferengi. It was one of the first languages that was actually a book, a Bible. The language was created for Land of the Lost.
Nice.
I know I'm just rambling on here. So
no, you're not rambling. I'm loving it.
Please be my guest. So.
That is why we have you here, Wesley, to tell us the stories that you remember. That's why we have you here. It's not rambling.
You guys were so much fun. I got to tell you. And I love that picture, buddy, with all of us. And it's just fabulous.
Yes. And I can't wait to see you again. Like I said, you've got Cajun Con coming up. That's not until the end of this year. So what conventions do you got coming up? I know you said that you've got one coming up next month. You got a couple coming up next month?
Yeah, we got one in Albuquerque coming up in a couple of weeks. I think it's Duke City Comic Con. It's fabulous. Then we've got Hershey, Pennsylvania, Hershey Comic Con. We've got a show in Kalamazoo called Hunters Against Hate. So Kathy and I are the guests there. And we've got one in Bartow, Florida. We got Cajun Con.
Yes.
It's an amazing. Who would have thought that after all these years, people would still want to say hello? You know, it is crazy, and it's flattering. But
have you ever been starstruck? Like you said, you go to a lot of Comic Cons. Has there been any guests that you've been able to be around that you go, oh my gosh, I'm in the same room as that person?
Yeah, and Margaret.
Okay.
I was like, Bye Bye Birdie. You know, oh my God. When I was a kid, she walked on Bye Bye Birdie, the movie. If you see the opening of Bye Bye Birdie, it was like, oh my God. And, you know, she was a big star. It was like, you know, I used to be a regular on Password as a guest star. And I would play with Betty White and Elizabeth Montgomery and, you know, all these amazing people. You know, the two of us would be paired up. And Elizabeth Montgomery, oh my God, I was so scared of her. I was, you know, my early 20s when I first got my first Password, because I became a semi-regular on the show. And I remember I auditioned and they said, yeah, you're going to do a Password. You do 1 week in 1 day. You bring 5 costume changes, 5 outfits, so it looks like it's 5 days. And we shot on a Saturday. And I was thinking, guys, I love Password. I was a game show freak. And I thought, oh, please don't let it be Elizabeth Montgomery. Please don't let it be Elizabeth Montgomery. Because she was the best Password player they had. She was deadly. So I pull into NBC, which is where Days of Our Lives shot too. And they've given me Johnny Carson's parking spot. Now, of course, it's Saturday. He's not there. But it's the one closest to the door at the soundstage. And they put my name over Johnny's name. A little placard. And I look to the right and it says, Elizabeth Montgomery.
Yep.
I was so scared. She intimidated me, but we fought tooth and nail, and they kept bringing me back. And Elizabeth and I would be paired against each other all the time. They would bring us back for another week and another week and another week. And then one day, I was in my dressing room about to shoot the 5 shows. It was in the morning, and I got the producer knocked on my door and goes, listen, would you mind teaching Lucille Ball how to play the new in-game for Password today? Lucille Ball. Yes. Because she was on Password when it was in black and white. But they had an in-game called Alphabetics. You can see all the reruns on Buzzer. They play them all the time, Buzzer TV. And so she said, well, she's going to spend the day with you. So I called my mom. I bought a house for my mom in Burbank, down the street from NBC. And I called my mom and I go, hey, Mom, what are you doing today? She goes, nothing. I go, want to spend the day with Lucille Ball? She was through the gates, the guard gates at NBC within like 10 minutes. And Lucy came in. I got to call her Lucy. And she came in and we talked. And then she watched me. She watched on the monitor when I went and filmed. And I don't remember the celebrity I was with that day. And then I would come back. My mom was sitting with her. And I'd change clothes right in front of her, change the shirts and the pants and all that stuff. And we would talk. And then I'd go back out and film another half an hour episode. Then come back and change clothes and film another half-hour episode. And then we'd all go to lunch. They'd change audiences and we'd film 2 more episodes. And I got to spend the day with her. And it was one of the greatest days.
Nice.
But those kind of moments that you get, the access that if you're lucky enough on this planet to rub shoulders with like a Betty White, you know.
I was just gonna ask, how was Betty White?
Oh, Betty was amazing Alan Ludden was the host when I first started, and Alan and I became friends. I was on a lot on Password, and he one time said Elizabeth Montgomery's the best female player and Wesley Eure is the best male player. And so Alan and I became friends, and he was delightful. And Betty I had known because Betty was she charities for actors and animals, actors and others for animals, and she was a big animal rights, as you guys know. And she would have celebrity events, and I would go and I make an appearance there with like Earl Holliman and Ruth Buzzy and Joanne Worley and the whole gang, right? And Betty. And then I got to play opposite Betty, and it was great. I think I just saw a clip of Betty, and we walk out, and now Password, the 2 of us walk out, and I'm going like this to her, and she's going like this to me. She was fabulous.
Wow. And Alan was okay with you doing that to his wife?
He loved it. No, he loved it.
Okay,
good. So much fun on that show.
Wow.
And the weird thing about this, and I know you understand this, the memories that you have are so vivid, but it's stunning sometimes when you think about how vivid the memories are, yet how long ago they can feel. Now, I haven't been in this as long as you have, but 15 years next month for me is Men in Black 3. So I remember that with like absolute specifics, I mean, the way that they dressed everything up in 1969, Will Smith, and it's like, it's bright, it's vivid as day, but it's like, how the heck was that 15 years ago? So your case, with everything you got with Land of the Lost and and Password and all these kind of things, these memories are so vivid you can almost touch them. And it's a weird feeling because you look at this stuff and you think about it, and obviously I don't know about you, in your case probably, but you go to a random party with a bunch of people that have known you for a while, and they're like, have you ever met Ryan Reynolds? What's he like? And all of these kind of things. I think you understand what I'm going with here. Trying to go with.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm turning 75, so I have been.
You're great for that too, by the way.
freaking 5 years old. It's crazy.
Party at Wesley's house.
Exactly.
The Price is Right. That one game where the yodeler goes, yodeling, the thing goes up the ramp right to the top, and I feel like I'm going, yodeling. I turned 75, and I'm looking down. Woo! It feels like that
like Land of the Lost,
Exactly.
So,
well, what for you guys? What's the best, or what actor or actress did you meet that really was like your dream, or one that made you kind of speechless?
I'll let Scott answer this first.
I think you're going to have to answer that one because,
okay,
for me, there are certain ones and certain people that have a certain aura about them. Denzel Washington has a great aura, that sort of thing. Spike Lee had. You like him for different reasons. Steven Soderbergh was fantastic because he'd have like 8-hour crew days. We'd start at 7:00 in the morning and be wrapped by 3 p.m. on a Friday. So he's like, we're out, bye. You love that kind of stuff there. But I don't know. I mean,
there's people I know Scott's met that I'm starstruck and jealous about, and that being Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yeah. Hugh's Hugh. But I mean, it's always weird because in this case, I don't think about it that. I think more about the moments, like trying to solve puzzles on Wheel of Fortune opposite Michael Emerson. and trying to be faster than him and failing epically because the guy's so freaking smart. Moments like that I remember.
Right.
I would say for me, it was at my very first big convention. I got to go to Dallas Fan Expo back in 2017. And to make a long story short, because basically I got to go to the entire trip for free.
Nice.
The biggest person there that I still am blessed that I met because he has passed since is Stan Lee.
Yeah.
That was a literal dream come true. And the first time I was actually starstruck because as a kid, being low income, my mom would let me go to the store and get one comic book, at a time and stuff. So when we could afford it, I'd get a comic book, and I loved comic books. And I'm big into like loving the Marvel projects and stuff. So, and actually when I was 5 years old, I love telling the story is, my mom had a box of, we'll call them dirty comics. And she said, do not go in that box, and, curiosity kills the cat when you tell a child, don't go in that box of comics, even though they're dirty comics. First book I pulled out was DC versus Marvel. It was the 90s comic book that they did where they had, like I said, DC. It was DC versus Marvel. And the thing that always I loved about that book, and when I became an adult, I actually pursued and found the book, but it was there was a scene where Wolverine crashes through the Warner Brothers window, and it had the Looney Tunes, Pinky in the Brain, and it's him fighting Killer Croc. And just from seeing that Looney Tunes, I always had that memory. And then, make a long story short, I got the comic book because I kept asking my friend. I said, it's a DC versus Marvel because I love crossovers. And he's like, you mean this book right here? I'm like, yes, I want that book. So then I bought it. But I got to, when I went to the first convention, one thing I didn't know at the time is you are supposed to buy your photo ops and autographs in advance. And I didn't know this. So I'm finding, and the whole reason of me going to the convention is because Stan Lee's there. And I'm there Saturday morning. I'm thinking you just hear 10 a.m., Stan Lee, and you just go walk. No, you're supposed to buy the stuff ahead. Someone says out loud, oh, it stinks that Stan Lee sold out. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? Because that's one of the main reasons I was going. And then so I had to go in line. I'm crying, call my mom, and she's like, calm down. It's going to be okay. I get up there, and I said, who sold out? Lady's like, who do you want to know? I'm like, Stan Lee. She said, I've got a 10 o'clock for tomorrow. I said, here's my money. So I gave her my money. I'm like nervous in line. It's one of the few times that I've been starstruck because when I actually met Stan Lee, my brain went, do the Spider-Man pose. And he tried to say hi. I could barely say hi back. And he says, I was expecting him to say like Excelsior or something. He says, you nailed it. And I just broke down crying. That was one of the people that I am very blessed, and I know there's a lot of people that didn't get the chance to meet Stan Lee, and it's just like that's usually one person when they're like, "Who's your favorite?" I'm like, Stan Lee, and they're like, "You met Stan Lee," and that was before I did the whole. That was the convention that taught me about sticking as just Buddy at the events, because at that event I changed into Buddy 3 different times. I would change out, get in a Marvel shirt to do the Stan Lee photo op, get back into Buddy, then change out, go do a Gotham picture with the people from Gotham, and then change out, go to Walking Dead. And then I said, this is very tiring. So I said, you know what? We're going to stick with Buddy. And that's why when you see, like Wesley, I was telling Scott, because I almost wasn't Buddy today. I said, well, I was like, Wesley only knows me from the conventions as Buddy. So I got into Buddy. We just got a fresh perm recently. And I said, you know what? We're going to be Buddy. And that's what I learned at these events. That's why you most time just see me as Buddy, because it's much easier.
Fair enough.
And yeah, that's one of the people I was, that would probably be my favorite person that I have met. So yeah.
It's such a new phenomenon, conventions like this. I think the Star Trek was the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, they were.
I believe.
That's
But
where I
like
got. That's where I
Kathy
got
will
started with
say-
a lot of the stuff. So back in the early '90s.
Yeah. When I was, in my prime and stuff, we couldn't do this. You want to meet, Raquel Welch, or you want to meet your favorite, Valerie Bertinelli or whoever you wanted to meet. There was no way.
Mhm.
Maybe
Right.
if it was David Cassidy, you want to go, you got to go to a concert. Maybe you could go backstage or wait for him outside, and that was it. But to have this kind of access is really, it's a game changer.
Literally.
It's a Kathy. I remember she fangirled out. She was so nervous. She was changing her makeup and everything. But Carrie Elways
Yes.
from
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, right?
Yes.
Played Wesley,
Yes.
of course. But so she was freaking out, and he had a huge line, and she was, at her table, and she snuck behind the curtain, and he goes, "Hi." She goes, Can I'm at my table. I don't have much time. Oh no, come on. And came in, and he held her. He goes, "What perfume are you wearing? That's really nice." And she didn't remember because it was one of those samples, and it was up in the hotel room. After she met him, she ran up, went in the trash can to find it, and that's the perfume she still wears. And he whispered into her ear, "As you wish."
Nice.
She blushed. I mean, so
Wow.
it's those moments that they were just not available until the last couple of decades.
And what's funny about the old conventions, sci-fi conventions, things of the early '90s and before Robert's time, is that was that was also how you'd get access to shows you couldn't see anymore. So what we used to do, I would go in there with $100 or $150 in like early '90s money, the money you pick up from working retail, and you'd go there and you'd buy basically bootleg copies of things that were unavailable. Old Dungeons and Dragons episodes or Thundercats or Land of the Lost, because they weren't always necessarily easily available otherwise. So you get like one of these, VHS tapes that was a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. And you hope to God there's a lot of episodes on there, because there's no way to really test it. So you pay $20 and it's like, did I get what I wanted? How many episodes are on this? Did I get 2 episodes? Did I get 5? Sometimes you get super duper lucky. You get 5 episodes of something for $20. And this is how you used to have to watch stuff back then once it was no longer on the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
This access to entertainment now is just, it's a push of a button.
Now it's the other
anything
way.
you
There's
want.
too much.
You know what? The sad part for me is that it doesn't expose people to things that they don't know that they don't like.
Yeah.
It's like when we used to, when there were 3 channels to watch, we would sit with our parents and our grandparents and watch a show together. And suddenly there'd be like a show that have ballet or opera or something, which I would never, as a kid, I would never watch. But suddenly I went, "Oh, what is this?" And I learned to start to appreciate it. And we don't have those opportunities anymore, because if you like rap music, you can listen to rap music for the rest of your life and never listen to a song with a melody.
TikTok and YouTube alone, before even going to streaming platforms or Instagram. The literal billions upon billions of options that exist at this point.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And also, by the way, and again, Robert probably doesn't remember this. When you had those 3 channels, if news broke or the president was on, you had nothing to watch. Because the president was on everything, and you're like, all right, I'm not getting anything today.
Exactly. And in my day, when about 11 o'clock, all the channels stopped.
Yes, test patterns. Yep. The bars and the test patterns and things like that. Yep. And up until 6 a.m.
I remember the Indian head with
I remember ESPN was calling itself the Total Sports Network, but was not actually broadcasting 3 hours a day.
Right.
So it was technically the 21 hours a day sports network. But yeah, like I said, the way things are so easily available, even on a phone. I mean, like I said, there's literally billions of options, not just here in the US, but if you want to watch, I don't know, Estonian soap operas, or a musical from Pakistan, it's like, there it is,
Buddy, you said something interesting about only, coming from a poor family and being able to buy the one comic book. And I was thinking, when you were saying that, I was thinking how the internet has changed that, which has kind of equalized access. If you can get on internet, whether it's a library or Starbucks or at home, you have access to the world.
Yes.
You can go read books and you can go read stuff that you don't have to buy everything individually. You know.
On. We're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have this problem now when you become an adult and you have comic books everywhere.
This is basically the limit of it back here.
Oh my God, that's fabulous. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, I had to just show that off a little bit. That's just a little bit of my comic collection. It's like from not having any comics to be like, hey, I got adult money. I can buy comics now. But you're right. You have it's like with the streaming services and stuff, like, yes, Scott, I understand. I'm very young, and no, I don't really know what it's like not to see be able to see a rerun, like, because
watch
I guess I did experience it a little bit when I was the Saturday morning cartoons. I did experience a little bit because I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh! And the original Pokemon and stuff like that. And I got blessed the one time with almost the season 1 of all the VHS tapes of Pokemon. And I had a VHS player, so I would just watch them. And that's how I watched most of the episodes of those, because I had them on VHS. Because I didn't get to grow up with cable much. So there's some shows that I should know, but I don't know because I'm like, I didn't have cable growing up.
Right.
So it's like people like Good Burgers. I didn't grow up with Good Burgers. There's people my age that did, but I didn't have the cable, so I don't have that nostalgia for that as other people do. So it's very interesting.
Well, when I was hosting the game show Finders Keepers on Nickelodeon, it was cable back then, so not everybody had access. The nice thing about Dragon Tales was it's PBS.
Yes.
And it was the only access that many people had. So it was the reverse in later life.
And they put it on, I do remember with Dragon Tales, you could go back and watch episodes on pbskids.org.
Yes.
And
the thing that's lost, you know what? Anticipation is lost. Waiting for an episode, waiting for something, thinking about it, and then seeing it. Because there's no expectation, there's no waiting anymore. It's just like, okay, I want to watch the episode of Dragon Tales. Okay.
Yeah. Literally.
There's no, or Land of the Lost, that, kids would would have sleepovers on Friday night, and they'd all be in front of the TV eating, Captain Crunch while the parents slept in on a Saturday. And if you missed it, you missed it.
Yep.
I did not see all the episodes of Land of the Lost when it was on the air because I was working and I was traveling and doing things. And if I missed that I think 10 o'clock or whatever it was on Saturday morning at the time, that was it. I couldn't see it again.
Or it's like what Adam West's Batman say: same bat time, same bat channel. And if you weren't there for that time, you missed the episode.
You did, and then you have to wait. But not only that, but then you have to wait for the entire cycle to come back around again. For it.
Just for that episode.
You're right. You're totally right.
Yep. And wherever you are, at that point, at like say 10:15 in the morning, wherever you are, you're like, my episode's currently running right now, and I can't see what I did. I can't see how I did.
So speaking of like these older shows and stuff, and with the streaming service, do you still get residuals off of like Land of the Lost or anything like that, or has streaming service made it where you don't get residuals because of contracts back in the day?
Well,
if you don't mind me asking,
we didn't get residuals on Land of the Lost for a long time, but streaming has gotten us a few little perks with rentals and things like that. And the game shows, because I'm on Buzzer TV now with Password, Match Game, and things like that. I got 48 checks the other day.
No.
48
the other day, by the way.
Wait. Oh, yeah, you made a video on this. Yes, I saw the video.
Oh, my God. It was, I think, 20 the first day, then 18 or what the next day or whatever. And because normally, like, I'll get a penny. Like, I was in the movie Being There with Shirley MacLaine, and I get a penny. And it'll be, a stamped envelope. And, it cost them like $20 to send it. But it'll be like, Bubble. I was a Bubble Boy for Disney and things like those movies or whatever, Chomps. And it'll be nothing. But these were for the game shows, and then paid me for a while. I didn't know I got money for it. And each check was like,
I would have thought that would have been a non-scripted.
This is like money. Okay.
I would have thought that would have been a non-scripted
it was
project.
like Christmas.
I mean, listen, take the money and run. But it's interesting. Like I said, I would have assumed that would be a no scripted project. So therefore, you wouldn't get residuals on it. I mean, listen, take it anyway. But again, bringing back to the point that you got 48 checks in the mail, not direct deposit, by the way, because they still
forgot, you know what? Because you don't know
why.
I just didn't think about it, and so now I have changed that with Screen Actors Guild and Apple.
You have got, because I have tried that so many times, but they don't put it in the account. They mail me my 3-cent check, which obviously costs more money in ink, paper, and
exactly. Oh my god! Exactly.
And it's like, cool. My episode of The Deuce aired in Bosnia. I get 3 cents.
I love it, Scott.
But see, the funny thing about that, maybe I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, I like to try and find like who dubbed me in other languages. Japanese specifically is my main interest. To try and find like, okay, did they do anything else? You know, I mean, you got to slum it up to basically, to dub me over. But I do get dubbed over, and I kind of want to know, like, who does it over there and, like, other stuff they've done. You know, did they, dub Luke Skywalker and myself or something, kind of a weird thing like that? It's just my general intrigue. But
I met some of the guys from Mexico that dub. It's a huge profession.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I had a friend worked a cruise ship, and he was at a hotel in Italy, and he called me. This was 20 years ago, where it cost money to call. He called me and said, "Wesley, I'm in Italy at my hotel room. I'm watching Land of the Lost. I didn't know you spoke Italian." And then he goes, "And I didn't know you sounded so butch." Bonjour.
Molto bene, sometimes why,
Lost.
That's, like I said, that's the weird thing about it. When you hear that, you're like, oh. And then I guess in a weird way, you also kind of like judge the dubbing to see, okay, well, okay, this matches my voice, or this is really weird, or why am I sounding like this in this case? Uncle Martin, Holly, run for it.
Exactly. Which I love. I love foreign films. Love them. So and thank goodness for Netflix and Insta and all the streaming services. And I love how you can pick what language you want them to speak in for a lot of them, not all of them.
Yeah, that's what I got to do.
Other than subtitles, they have them dubbed. And I love listening and watching the lips and listening and seeing how, if the performance elicits the same emotion that I think it would have with the original actor.
I should do that.
You just now you gave Scott, even though he has,
you just back it up every time, change the language, listen to it, back it up again.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's great.
Now you just gave Scott an idea for content.
1,000%.
He's probably going to be like, me reacting to this movie in English and Spanish and French.
Well, there was one scene that I had done on HBO that was, let's just say, not safe for general watching. And it ironically aired the day after I got married too, so it was really kind of funny to have my in-laws for 24 hours at this point watching this. But I've often wondered about that one specifically in different languages. Not the ones with just the regular dialogue or anything, but I've been kind of curious about that one. So maybe I'll go on HBO Max and look it up and see.
Okay, what is it? You got to tell me, what is it?
There was an episode of the show called The Deuce with James Franco and Maggie Gyllenhaal. I had done an adult scene. And in this case, they originally were going to plan on doing the whole sock and everything. They decided, nah, leave him in his underwear, but just, we'll give the dialogue that was involved and the grunting noises and various things of that sort. And I was very nervous because it was one of those things with the intimacy coordinator and everything. And the director, a woman named Uta Brieswitz, was gold. She's like, no, we'll do it this way, and it was much more relaxed than it originally was when I went in there. And I was very grateful for that. But in a case like this, listening to this in, I don't know, Mandarin or something like this, or, in Portuguese or something. Oh, you've given me a bad idea here for the weekend. Now,
Wesley, I did
one thing to close out, by the way. My in-laws were actually very proud of me for that scene. That opens up another set of questions I want to point out.
I did want to make something full circle with what Wesley. You were asking about the time I was starstruck and stuff. Another one quick little story was last year was a full moment for me because I got blessed and I got to go to San Diego Comic-Con, which is an event I've been wanting to go. It actually is what got me to go to Dallas, is because always as a kid, being like the age of 12, I'm 29 now, but at the age of like 12, I always told my mom, oh, I want to go to a Comic-Con. I want to go to a Comic-Con because I had seen what San Diego Comic-Con was, and I always wanted to go. And we just never could afford to go event, so that's why it meant a lot when I went in 2017. Well, last year I got blessed with basically a free trip to San Diego Comic-Con because it's all about who you know and the connections you make. And one of the coolest moments that happened for me at San Diego is, yes, I was in the full-on elf suit. I'm at Hall H. If you know anything about Hall H, it can hold 6,500 people, and it's first come, first serve. So a lot of times if there's a panel that's at 5 p.m., you need to be there at like 11 a.m. and just hang out all day. It doesn't matter if you don't care about like the performances that are coming up. You've got to stay where you are to make sure you're still in the room. And so I got to see the comedian Fluffy announce his tour.
Right.
I got to, and I'm very blessed, I got to see Rob Reiner's, rest in peace, his last, right? Did I say that right? Rob Reiner? My brain's blanking.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, Rob Reiner's his last convention before he passed away, unfortunately. And he was talking about Spinal Tap 2, so I got to see that, and they were talking about that. And so I'm watching all these performances. Well, the one I was there for, even though I've never seen the movie, but I knew Scott knew because it's where he's from, New Jersey, is I was there for the Toxic Avenger panel. That and Toxic Avenger, the characters from New Jersey. And the whole reason why I was there, because I saw they were doing a Q&A, is Peter Dinklage was there. And he's the angry elf from Elf. And so here I am as Buddy, and I got to ask a question. And he's like, they must have, like, it was crazy. Is even though I'm a far distance from the stage, they must have, like, for the celebrities to be able to see the audience, because before I got to be on the big jumbo screen. Before I was on the big jumbo screen, Peter goes, speaking of a tyrant, and it's about 10 seconds. Nobody knows what he's talking about. Then they show up my face on the big jumbo screen, and everybody went ballistic because you got Buddy the Elf and Peter Dinklage. And I was like, my question's for Peter, aka Miles Finch. And I was like, did you have to read the books, watch the old TV show, or watch the movies to prepare for your character? And I was talking about Toxic Avenger, and his response was, are we still talking about Elf? And I was like, yes. And he's like, sorry, the costume, it threw me off. It's canon to another character that I play. So that was another moment that I freaked out, because I'm like, now I have another Elf cast member that I've met, because people always go, have you met Will Ferrell? Have you met these characters? And having that interaction, the entire room just blew up. So yeah, that was
bravo.
So yeah, that was another moment that.
And Will Ferrell did the movie Land of the Lost in 2000.
Yes, which brings us.
I did a scene. Kathy and I did a scene with Will for the movie, and it got cut.
Yeah.
Are you guys going down a waterfall? No, I'm just kidding.
You got the narrator. Well, also technically, he sort of played the character as well in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Okay, he knows where I'm going with this. Where he played a cop named Marshall Willenholly, which was such a subtle, smart play on in Kevin Smith's path, because it's just his name is Willenholly. Okay, fine, but you don't really think about it too much until you put it together and know the reference. But that was just a very smart play.
I know the song. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition. So Marshall, Will, and Holly.
Yeah, it was so clever on that. So,
wow. So, is there anywhere to find that deleted scene, or do they just cut it?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Okay.
Horrible. And they didn't write anything special. They didn't do a wink and a nod to the original cast. They just threw us in at the last minute. They had a man and a woman that comes to get their car valet parked. Will Ferrell, in part of the movie, a lot was cut. But in the part that wasn't cut, he was so poor he's parking cars at the La Brea Tar Pits, Page Museum. And we come up and go, hey, we want our car validated. He goes, I don't need any validation. I just found Land of the Lost. And then it cut to a little boy with a Sleestak egg that hatched. And that was the end of the movie. And they cut all of that ending and put Matt Lauer in at the end. So, but he was, again, he was a huge fan of Land of the Lost. He came running over to me. I went on the set at Universal, which is this amazing set. And he saw me and came running over. He was filming. And he said, Wesley, I sang the theme song yesterday. Because one of the funniest parts of the movie is he's playing the banjo, singing Marshall, Will, and Holly, and a bug lands on him.
Yep.
And starts to suck all the blood out of him. and as soon as it does, so it's Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine next week. It's about the race we ever know. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft. And the bug bites him, and Will and Holly go, ah! Because instead of going down the waterfall, they see the bug, and so it's the same scream. Anyway, he was so proud of it.
Nice.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, do you got anything else, Scott, or should we let this good man go?
We should, I think at this point he's given us. I'm grateful for every minute of the time.
Yes.
Thank you.
No.
This has been so.
It's a joy, guys. It's a joy to be with you guys.
Privilege,
and I so look forward to seeing at Cajun Con, which is going to be amazing.
It will be.
I think it's the first week of December.
Yes, first weekend of December. You can buy your tickets right now. They're only $20, which I'm sorry, there is no other convention out there. Can you get a weekend pass for $20 with over 80 guests that are at this event? You got people like the Land of the Lost. You'll have Power Rangers. You've got all different. You got horror people. You got all these different names. Emily Swallows from The Mandalorian. You know, you've just got all these big people gonna be in the same room. And like you said, Wesley, you're gonna get to eat with these people in the green room. Which I had the opportunity because Scott gave me an all access pass as I'm in the green. I was in the green room and here I'm getting food and I'm sitting right next to the Black Power Ranger. And you know, you got the Pink Power Ranger here. And I'm like, I'm pinching myself and I'm like, am I really here? I'm eating with these people or
it's crazy. Yeah. The only one time I was in the green room with Kathy and this little Japanese guy was there. Elderly man sitting there just eating, and we're sitting at the table, didn't speak a word of English and stuff like that. And I'm trying to be polite and all that kind of stuff, just to us and stuff like this. And he leaves, and somebody comes and says, "Do you know who that was?" I go, "No." He said, "That's the guy that was in the Godzilla suit for the original Godzilla movie."
We have interviewed him. Yes. So
I was like, "What?"
You're like, "What?"
It's crazy. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, no, so bizarre. Before we let you go, do you have any projects or anything that you're working on or anything you want to promote at this particular moment?
No, you can go to my website at wesleyeure.com and more than you would ever want to know about what's going on, the shows I've done and things like the horror movies I've done and things like that. But no. And we'll hopefully see you if you're in the area where we are signing autographs. Please stop by, hop in the yellow raft, take a photo, and have some fun.
nice.
Do you have any social medias you'd like to plug? Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Facebook, Wesley Eure, or the Land of the Lost groups. We're on those, and Instagram of Wesley Eure. So I'm all over the place. I'm easy to find.
And last but not least, because this is my signature question, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
Woo!
In fact, when we did Land of the Lost, we had chroma key blue was the green.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
My shirt was blue.
Ooh.
So and Kathy's pants, her cords were blue. So when we were for shooting the first one, suddenly Kathy would look like she had no legs and my shirt would disappear. And sometimes my eyes would disappear. And so they said no. So they put me in a khaki shirt and Kathy in maroon cords. So blue became my favorite color and my enemy.
Yeah, truth.
And on that note, guys, I'm Buddy the Elf. That's Scott Churchland. And this is the one, the only Wesley Eure. And we are out of here. Tales from the Film Set. Ow!